And thank you, Chelsea and Rosa. Those are amazing stories. So first off, I want to look at this one. Okay. My dad, me and my dad were talking. He lives on Catalina Islands. And me and him were talking the other day about these tattoos that I've been getting recently. I don't know if he likes it so much, but essentially he's a firm believer that you have to really earn your tattoos. That's just the kind of man that he is, and I think I have. I believe that each of these tattoos that I've gotten reflect a part of who I am. One of the ones I got recently is on my collarbone. I'm all mic'd up, so I don't want to mess with it too much, but it's Latin, and it says "Per angusta ad augusta." For those of you who don't speak Latin, roughly what that means to me, or what that can be translated to, is to high places through narrow pathways. And essentially, I think no matter what challenges you're facing, no matter what mountains you're facing, we decide to continue to move forward, to keep climbing. So as Hal said, I was serving, before my injury, I was in the Air Force, flying like a navigator for special operations. And not long after getting my wings, that's when my whole life changed. I would be face to face with one of the biggest mountains that I've ever faced in my life. And that was 2 years ago, May 19th, 2023. I just got back from survival training, right where they throw me and my friends in the middle of nowhere in the woods over in Washington. We learned how to survive off the land. It was essentially to simulate what would happen if we went down behind enemy line. So we had to hunt rabbits, catch them, procure on water. We had to, all while evading enemy capture. And in the event that we do get captured, we would be put in a simulated prisoner of war camp, simulating interrogations, isolations, physical stressors, and psychological stressors, and just learn how to resist type of, it wasn't exactly torture, but I mean, in the moment, that's what it felt like. And how to still remain cool under all that pressure. Returning home from all that, me and my friends, you're drained. You're just so out of it, and the first thing you want to do is decompress. And the first thing me and my friends did was we got a boat and we took it out to the Gulf of Mexico on base in Pensacola, Florida. And the day was perfect. We were listening to music. It was a sunny day, perfect weather. And I was diving off this boat, and as I was getting ready to make my fifth or sixth dive, I dove too deep. My head slammed into a sandbar, and I broke my C67 vertebrae, paralyzing me from the chest down. And with limited use of my arms and my hands. And there I was, face down in the Gulf of Mexico. I couldn't even flip myself over to breathe. And I knew that my next breath would only come once my friends figured out I wasn't joking. So that was pretty scary. I thought maybe, we joke around a lot, so I definitely thought I could drown. But luckily, maybe what felt like a minute, I felt my friends jump in and finally pull me out. They got me to safety, and they called for help, and I got medevacs. The next thing I know, I was in the ICU. Here I realized I couldn't do anything for myself, but I was blessed to have my friends and family there. But my mom was helping me feed me. All the nurses were helping me get bathed, get dressed, and everything else. And the first part of that mountain was accepting that my whole life had just changed, that nothing would be the same anymore, and that I would have to decide from that point how to move forward. The second part of that mountain was deciding what comes next. I would have to navigate all this, the hospital system, insurance, military, and all their own separate roadblocks and rules, and none of them communicating well with each other. But luckily, my family was there to help navigate that whole tangled maze, and they did it. They secured the next best thing for me, and that was I totally forgot I had slides here. Sorry. Whoops, that's back. Yeah, so that's day one. That's on the boat. That was literally taking moments before I drove off. And that's me, survival training, and in the military. And that's me in the ICU. Yeah, that was just moments after my surgery, totally full of tubes, and still rocking the mustache, as you can see. But right, getting into Chicago, Shirley Ryan, right? And I was so blessed that getting into, as far as my acute rehabilitation, that was arguably one of the best ones in the world. And so I was on a private jet, I got flown out there, and here I was met with structure, which I needed. That was something I was familiar with. That was something I was comfortable with from the military. They would tell me where to go, when to wake up, when to go to my appointments, and when to eat. And that was just amazing. Right here in this photo, that was the first time I was upright for 2 months after my injury, which first thing that happens is your blood pressure drops and you feel like you want to faint, but you get used to it, which those little milestones that come our way, each little achievement is just huge. Here I saw a lot of people in similar places that I was in, some a little bit better, some a lot worse. And the first thing that I saw there was I wasn't alone, and that together, just seeing how motivated they were, how inspirational that was. Another inspirational piece of Shirley Ryan in Chicago was when a young man named Will rolled into my room, and he told me his story. That's all I wanted to do. It's just part of the peer mentorship program. But he told me how he was cliff diving in Thailand, and his injury was a lot higher, but his whole situation was a lot worse. But yet there he was, confident, motivated, independent. And I knew right there that seed of hope was planted, that if this guy can do it, maybe I can too. But not long after that, just a month into Shirley Ryan, they wanted to send me home, and I wasn't ready. At this point, I had barely maybe was able to get my own shirt on, brush my own teeth, but they're ready to send me home. They wanted to send me home to my mom. She's here in the crowd. And I love my mom, but you spend about 20 years or so wiping your own butt, and I wasn't ready to go back to that. I just couldn't. I knew I needed to get back to full independence, or at least as much as I could. So my family, once again, back to the rescue, made sure to ensure the next piece of rehabilitation, and that was getting into Omaha QLI over in Omaha. And here the momentum continued. I was still met with the same routine, that same regiment, that same structure that I loved, just as much of a motivated community. 6 months into here in inpatient, I did it. I got back to independence. I was able to do everything for myself again, including wiping my butt, so my mom didn't have to. I transitioned from inpatient to outpatient. I got into the VA where I would transition all my care, get all my a lot of adaptive equipment, my wheelchair, and a lot of other things from the military, and I was blessed to have that. And I was able to take my time in getting back to independence. They got me an adapted vehicle, a sweet truck that I could drive my own. And 6 months after that, in outpatient, I was ready. I was ready to go home, to get my own place, live on my own again, back in Southern California where I grew up, where my whole support system is. And driving home with a buddy from Omaha all the way back to Long Beach, I didn't realize that the hardest part was yet to come. And that was being back home, no structure, no purpose, having to rebuild my whole community from scratch. And I fell into a depression. I didn't have to work, and I was blessed to have that, but sitting in bed for a whole week not having to do anything, that messes with you. And I knew that I had to re-engage with my entire community and get back out there and be active. And thanks to my community and thanks to foundations like the Be Perfect Foundation, the Perfect Step, as well as some things for me personally, Reboot and the Perfect Institute, that helped me rebuild my purpose, rebuild pretty much my whole identity. If it wasn't in the military, what was it going to be in? And I found it in sports, I found it back in my church, and I found it in my friends and family. The main takeaways from all this, The first thing is that, statements here. Maybe it's actually in the back. Yeah, it's that change comes fast. Change is inevitable. It was thrust upon me, but ultimately change became my doing. And I also established some core values, and that's in faith. And essentially, faith broken down to faith in God, right? To remind me that there's still a life worth living, even after injury. Faith in myself to maintain that resilient mindset, to maintain that self-discipline, to keep going and stay engaged and stay active in my community. And then faith in my community to remind me that I was never climbing alone and to keep supporting me even at times when I wanted to give up. Faith is what allowed me to turn my mountain into my message. And it's what's helped me repurpose myself. And that new purpose statement is this, right? It's to live life to the fullest, despite my injury, and to continue to build on my story, to use that to inspire and uplift others, just like Will did for me. And so I want to thank you guys, thank my community, and thank my whole support system for staying engaged, staying involved, and helping people like me rebuild their whole lives. So thank you.